unmistakably a sports car with Latin design lines. Inspired by the then European concepts such as the E-Type Jaguar and especially the sinfully beautiful designs by Pininfarina for Ferrari.
It's like a kind of American Ferrari, and of course it's extremely rare.
The Apollo 3500 GT is designed to be an alternative to the then often costly to maintain European sports cars. An American Ferrari also powered by an American engine, a V8. Three-and-a-half-liter displacement is the origin of the sporty sound and responsible for propulsion in the only around 1,000 kilos Apollo. In fully extended fourth gear, the 200 horsepower Gran Turismo needle stops at the good 210 kilometers an hour. In the early 60s, a very respectable value.
The goal from the American side was to simply give an answer to Ferrari with American technology and Italian bodywork. 3 people joined forces, all of whum were already active in the car business at the time. Milt Brown and Ned Davies had studied together, and Ron Pliska was already successful with Intermechanica.
With the engine, the choice is a newly designed V8 engine from the American major manufacturer Buick. The 3.5-liter is very light thanks to a complete aluminum production, just right for a sports car. Later, this unit had a long career as a Rover V8 in different vehicles such as the Range Rover, Morgan, and TVR. Despite American mass-produced technology, the Apollo moves very sportily. The engine sits far behind the front axle and ensures an even weight distribution. No more top-heavy US cruiser, but a more agile Gran Turismo, light-footed and agile.
It doesn't drive like a typical American car. It doesn't have soft suspension. The rear axle is suspended 4 times, and it drives really well. At the front, it's a little softer. It bobs up and down a bit to the right and to the left. One could change that with modifications. But with the rebuild, I tried to leave everything as it was in the original.
The design language of the Apollo represents Italian design and body art, an independent design. To speak of vile Ferrari plagiarism would be unfair, though many details are taken from the sports cars from Maranello from the 60s, and that is no accident.
The body was made in Italy. The designer was an Italian. Franco Scaglione also did a lot for Ferrari and Bertone. Then the body was shipped to the US and the costs ran completely out of control.
Only about 70 Apollos were built in 6 years. An estimated 40 models still exist today. Apollo lover Graf searched for his car for years, and during this time he developed into a specialist and thus is the contact person for Apollo fans and owners worldwide.
It's an absolutely great line for me. When I began the search, I was looking for something rare, and that had to be exotic. The engineering is affordable. All parts are available as long as one knows from which car they came from. That's a bit of the difficulty, but also the speciality. The body was handmade then by Intermechanica. The first 2 cars were made of aluminium. Then it was found that the costs were too high. Then they built the cars out of steel with hoods and doors made of aluminium. It's really like an American Ferrari and extremely rare.
With the help of experts, he rebuilt his Apollo again from scratch in work lasting 5 years. In the meantime, Andreas Graf has got a second Apollo, a 5000 GT with a larger, later-built machine. Another restoration project. The supply of technical parts poses no problem at all. Completely different with the missing or defective body parts. Nothing happens without handwork and improvisation.
In this case, there's of course nothing. You have to make everything yourself. Here we needed sills, which are very vulnerable in this car because they rust badly. We had to completely remake them. We had to put a part in the nose here at the front. One just had to make it because there's nothing for it.
Like with the contemporary Ferrari, the body is created completely with exquisite craftsmanship. The traces of the 50-year-old original work is still visible on the plate.
You can still see the hammer blows on the body. Even when restoring, you cannot expect it to be perfect, not even with the gap dimensions. There you can already see the difference from a factory-made or machine-made body. But this was like this at the time. You can see it very well here, how the parts were assembled then. This no longer exists in this way today.
Ultimately, the production of the Apollo is too costly, and in 1968 it comes to an end. No reason for Andreas Graf not to let his rare Apollo out onto the road, or to protect it. The high-priced classic car scene has so far still not discovered the Apollo, and nevertheless, the prices have risen noticeably in recent years. If an Apollo fan would separate himself from his Apollo in good condition today, around 80,000 euros would have to be paid. Self-restoration models cost around 50,000 euros, if you can find one at all. The Apollo 3500 GT, a rare and fascinating species under the classical hybrids.